So we are making Nishime vegetables with soba noodles. Now what is Nishime? I would just like to explain. Nishime is a form of cooking vegetables wherein you use very little water in a heavy based stainless steel pan like this, and we cook it covered for about 30 to 35 minutes. And in its own steam, in its own heat, and we don't keep picking it up, so in its own steam, in its own heat, it creates a very nice warmth which is very good for our digestion. It's what we call in Ayurveda Agni, so it really nurtures our Agni. So this is a dish which is extremely good for people suffering from a weak digestion or any sort of weakness, be it in the lungs. It's also particularly very good for somebody suffering from diabetes. The process of cutting the vegetables in this particular dish is very different, and so I would like to demonstrate how the vegetables are cut, because we're trying to create more focus and we're trying to create more warmth and we're trying to create more strength. Hence we're not going to cut the vegetables very thin or fine in this particular dish. We want the strength of the root and round vegetables that we are using to be to nurture us as we eat this. So we begin with, here we have a pumpkin and we're going to cut it really large into large chunky pieces. This is how largely we're going to cut the pumpkin. So we cut it nice and large. Then we will take the sweet potatoes, and you can cut it in any shape. It can be more in cubes, it could be sort of like a diamond shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it like this, and then I'll roll the sweet potato and then cut it again, and then roll, and then cut it, roll. So it's giving a really nice shape to the sweet potato. And if we don't want the veggies to be very large, we can always cut them from a particular point so that they're about the same size and they cook in the same time. And we take it and we'll put it in this pot. I'll show you in a minute how we're putting it in the pot. Same thing with the carrot. Just to make it interesting, I'm going to cut it on a slant, turn the carrot, cut it, turn, and ad hoc way, it's up to you how you want to cut it. We're also going to take the onions and cut them really large. So it's not going to be chopped like really fine like we do in regular cooking. We're going to take it and cut it literally in just 4 pieces. And if you wish, we can also do it like this. That's really up to us whether we want to do it in 4 or 8. But basically large pieces like this. And the other vegetable we are using is shiitake mushrooms here. Now the thing with shiitake mushrooms is that it needs to be soaked for a few hours before you use them, because as you can see, these are dried ones. For this particular recipe, I would advise to use only the dried shiitake mushrooms and not the fresh ones, because the dried ones have more concentrated energy, and already in a nishime we're trying to create more concentration of energy to help bring more focus and stability into the body. So here it is, dried mushrooms, and we're going to simply soak it in water for a few hours. And once it has been soaking, I'd like to share that the shiitake mushroom, wash and then soak of course, and I'd like to mention that the stem part of the shiitake mushroom is actually not edible at all. So when we are cutting this, we're going to simply cut off the stem part and only use the cap of the mushroom. Now since we're cutting things in a big way in this dish, we're only going to cut the mushroom into 2 large pieces, and that's all we're going to do. So here we're going to keep removing the cap of each of the mushrooms because it's actually not even edible. So here we have all the top parts, and cut this simply into half. And put it in here. going to discard that part. So I'd like to show you how we have sectioned the veggies over here. So in a pot, I have not just put the veggies randomly, but I have put them in different sections. So we have the pumpkin in this triangle, and then we have the sweet potatoes, and then we have the carrots, and then we have the onions, and then we have the shiitake mushrooms. I have used about 6 shiitake mushrooms. However, if you get the larger variety of shiitake mushrooms, then you want to simply use about 3, and that would be enough for even 2 people. So since I said this is a waterless, mode of cooking, so we're going to take the soaking water of shiitake mushrooms, because the mushrooms are already washed, and we're going to pour it over here, and we're going to put only enough water to cover the base of the pan. There is only enough water to cover the base of the pan, and it's not actually going above. So here we have turned on the gas stove, and we're going to place this heavy base stainless steel pan with the vegetables sectioned out over here. And right now we're going to have a slightly higher flame, but and we're going to cover it. As soon as the water begins to sizzle, which is it's just about to boil a little bit, then we lower the flame and cook it on a low flame for about 35 minutes. And you'll see how the vegetables they become almost caramelized. So we don't want to leave water in the pan, and we don't want the veggies to burn either, but we want them to just get nice and caramelized, and they are all sweet vegetables: carrots, onions, sweet potatoes, pumpkin, and they become really nice over noodles with a little flavor, as you'll see how we present that. So here we have the vegetables. The water is coming to a boil, which only takes about 2 to 3 minutes, and as you can see, the water is already boiling. So we're just going to add a little pinch of salt, and then lower the flame to a very low flame, to the lowest, cover it and cook it for about 35 minutes. Of course, it can even go to up to 45 minutes if the water is not dried up. And we're not going to really open this continuously to see it. The idea of cooking these vegetables in large chunky pieces and with very less water is to concentrate their own sweetness. It's like a slow caramelizing without the oil, and this is very, very good for our body, as our body needs the natural sweetness. In today's day and age, we have had so much of refined sugar and refined flour and refined foods that the body doesn't know the meaning of natural sweetness anymore. So this is a dish which helps build back the body habit of natural sweetness, as well as creates healthy agni for our body. So it's about 35 minutes that the Nishime vegetables have been cooking. Let's see what it looks like now. So I'm going to pick it up, and we're going to see, oh wow, so we have the water just about done. As you can see, it's not beginning to burn, but the water is just about done, and that's the kind of caramelization that we're looking for. Now these vegetables are going to taste really creamy and delicious when you have them, when they're done just like this. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to turn the flame off, and I'm going to take a little bit of soy sauce. The one that I'm using is an organic shoyu. It's a really nicely flavored soy sauce. When you choose soy sauces, you want to make sure it doesn't have sugar and preservatives in it. So either use a tamari, a high quality tamari, or a low sodium, high quality soy sauce. So here we have the soy sauce, and I'm going to just sprinkle a little bit, just put a little bit, about 2-3 teaspoons of it on this, and we'll just give it a little shake like this. And the sweet potato is almost sticking, so I'll just nudge it a little bit, but besides nudging it, we just sort of give it a shake like this. to mix in the flavors. So we don't, because the vegetables have been cooking for so long, if we actually use a spoon and toss it around, they'll all break and get very mushy and may not look very pleasing to eat as well. So we're gonna just do this and mix the flavors in. And then we're gonna take some ginger juice, and with clean hands, we're gonna take the ginger juice and simply, this is freshly grated ginger, squeeze out the juice. Now we're going to put this out on a plate. So we'll take the soba noodles, which are boiled, and we're going to take these veggies, it's hot, and we'll simply put them on top as much as we want to have. I think that's looking nice. And we're going to take some spring onions and sprinkle it on top. And for those who like a little more crunch, a lot of people like the taste of little, the white part of spring onions as well. We can add a little bit of the white part as well. But those who wish to not add the white part, you can just go ahead and use just the green part. Here we have our Nishime vegetables ready with the soba noodles. It looks like it's a very basic dish, but coming out of the caramelized vegetables coming out of the pot over noodles is just yummy.